like to call the town of Newburgh meeting Wednesday, August 13th, 2025 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any remembrances or acknowledgements?
One of our good friends from Newburgh passed away this last week, David Benyon. He and his wife actually visited here, and I met them here before I met them in Newburgh. They were walking around downtown, had a noticeable Lancashire accent, and I stopped to talk to them. And they had a child, I believe it was their daughter, who was in medical school in Cincinnati, and they had flown to Cincinnati to visit her and looked at the map and said, oh my gosh, our sister city's just on the other side of Ohio in Indiana. So, hey, let's get a car and go. And so they did. So we happened to have a council meeting that night that I ran into them, and they came to the council meeting, and then we went out to dinner. After that, to the family from the Old Dam Band, when the little jazz band went to Newburgh to be in their parade. They hosted a family, and you know, they've just been on the radar for all of us who've been there. And so David Benyon, B-E-N-N-I-O-N.
All right, another dear friend of mine passed away. Her name is Peggy Norman. She owned the Red Rooster Stitchery. Has been in business since 1981, started down where Honeymoon Cafe is, and then bought the place where Jonathan Law has his law office, Jonathan Young has his law office, and then she moved out on right down the street from the bank, and she was in business 41 years here in Newburgh. So she will be missed. Roll call, please.
District 1, Steve Shoemaker.
Present.
District 2, Paul Perry.
Present.
District 3, Stacy M. Krieger.
Present.
District 4, Ann Russ Naran. Council at Large, Leanna K. Hughes.
Happy to be
Clerk Treasurer, I'm sitting in for Nanette Angel. She's at conference, so Luann Woodford. Administrative Town Manager.
Here.
Deputy Town Manager. Here. Town Attorney.
Here.
And Town Engineer.
Present.
All right, I'd like approval for the, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of July 23rd, 2025 minutes.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Also, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of July 30th, 2025 special session minutes.
Second that.
Do I have any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? All right, schedule requests and appearances, and then comments by citizens. Mr. Millsaps?
Thank you, Madam President and members of the council. I come to you tonight to speak regarding fiscal responsibility and transparency. Current debt over the town of Newburgh is $83 million.
Could you state your name and your address, please?
I'm sorry, sir. Ralph Millsaps, 5 Riverbend Court.
Thank you.
Newburgh, Indiana. The current debt of the town of Newburgh was $83 million. As documented on the state's Gateway Debt Management website. Recent council expenditures, despite this financial obligation, is a concern. The council approved an expenditure of $4,900 for a speed pump, which has recently been upgraded to a speed table at an unspecified cost. This decision was made without any discussion on March 26th. The only related conversation I was able to find was a brief mention that cost was discussed during the police committee meeting of March 12th. Notably, there are no online minutes available for these meetings. After a FOIA request, I was able to find minutes that appear to show a former member of this council pushing for these humps aggressively. The city manager has alluded that perhaps we will have 6 or 7 installations that may be planned in total. If this is accurate, perhaps the total cost could approach the $50,000 cap, set projects that may require a formal bidding process. As a taxpayer, I have recently experienced a 24% increase in my taxes for this town alone, for which you are responsible. I object to the manner in which this spending initiative has been planned and executed. I do not believe these actions uphold the transparency which is expected in a government process. And lastly, I do not like the hump for which I had to go over 6 miles an hour, and I don't like the table over which I have to go over at 10 miles an hour. I thank you for listening. I'll be open to any questions you might have. Thank you.
I would like to make a comment. I too do not like it. I don't like the amount of money we've spent on it. The town is facing just a real dilemma with our budget next year. I did send to all of my associates that were on the police commission the last time at the police commission meeting Monday, I think it was, telling them of my disapproval of that, and I hope that they would change their tune on the whole thing. And I thought it was worth trying. Of course, we were talking about putting it down on Water Street at that point because we have a lot of speeding on Water Street, and that's a very small area with the trail that's part of the road. So that has always made me nervous, and I thought maybe this was worth a possibility that might solve our problem. That was when it was only $5,000. With the additional $4,000 for it to be a table versus a bump, that's when I said, I'm not in favor of this at all. And I'm not in favor of this being here. I'm also not in favor of pursuing any further speed tables or whatever. I'd like to see our police have a big presence down here and be watchful, and maybe we wouldn't have the speeding problem. I know the problem is huge. I was for over 30 years in the downtown, and it was very upsetting and frustrating to see my customers walk out of the store, try to get across the street, and here comes somebody speeding down the road. A lot of times not even stopping. So I'm pretty frustrated. The speeding is a challenge that we're facing, but I think there are other ways to try to combat that, and especially with our challenge of the budget that's going to happen next year. I just can't see a 50,000 plus type of expenditure. So I said my piece to you all on the police commission, and so now I'm publicly making that known that I am very much in disapproval of it.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to comment? Well, I, for one, we have talked about putting in others. That is talk. We have not voted on it. We have not approved any others. Right now, we just have the one, and we're going to see how it goes. It does not mean that we will add more. It doesn't mean we won't, but we have not explored it completely yet.
We should report probably in another month and bring it before you all with a potential recommendation either way. But we were going to give it about a month after from this past Sunday and then have a recommendation and bring it before, I think we were shooting for like the second meeting in September.
Okay.
And I've been keeping track of for and against, and once it's back on the agenda, I was going to email, and I'll be sure to add Mr. Millsaps to that as well. So it'll be a public discussion, but there's more to that hump. The hump is not a magic bullet solution. It was never intended to be that. There's some additional projects that are speed calming that will be in conjunction with the potential hump down the road. And we can't just look at one speed hump or speed table without looking at the potential of the whole corridor. There's a project being designed right now, I believe, for the crosswalk at Jennings and Market, potentially to bring before you, that has speed calming added to it, where you take that in conjunction with an additional speed table towards the other end of Jennings and the Washington Jefferson area, then you have a corridor of control. And from what our initial documents are showing, that would probably be the recommendation, unless something changes with the data in the next month. If I had to make a recommendation right now, that would be what we would move forward with, and not any more until that all is together, and then you study that corridor and then look at the additional 5 other locations, because one of the 6 that we had ID'd was down there at that other end of Jennings. So.
Right.
But that's kind of where we're at. The feedback for the past couple days, it's the same as it was before. Most of the business owners that have reached out to me are very supportive. Some of the residents that were on the fence before, some like it, some don't, with the table addition. There's a few that are against it either way. And, if you go by Facebook as a gauge, most of the people that are commenting negatively on social media do not live in the town limits.
Right.
So that's kind of like the rough draft, so to speak, after a couple days since Sunday. But we're tracking all this. We're going to have it into a report for you all, probably towards the second part of September. And then that'll be on the agenda on what we do from there.
Okay, thank you.
Short comment. Also, I can't imagine that it is attractive here in our historic district, where everything is so nice. I think it's deplorable.
Okay, thank you.
Well, and don't forget that even though these people don't live in Newburgh, apparently they drive through Newburgh. So, they are still our constituents in that manner.
They shop in the shops, go to the restaurants, so.
Okay, any other comments? All right, we'll go on to new business, Civil Town, Drew, Plum Street.
Yes, so intent or NOI to form application to IDM to notify IDM that the town is going to be discharging stormwater associated with their upcoming Plum Street project. This is required by the construction stormwater general permit process. Engineer recommends that town execute this document to submit to IDM.
Okay. I need a motion to accept the notice of intent for construction stormwater general permit for Plum Street.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Drew, change order number 4.
So this change should be the last change order associated with the 2024 CCMG project. It's the adjustment in the contract extension for the first 3 change orders, in which we stated that there'd be a deduct towards the end of the project once we have quantities accounted for. It just took some time to get to the end stage and for the project to be reach substantial completion. So this change is a decrease in the amount of $265.82. So the incorporated is in the amount of $1,216,924.21. So it is an increase of the project of $17,500 for the whole entire project. And if you recall, the project includes some tax so beneficial items for all the crosswalks that need to be done, and it also adds changing concrete pavement to Madison Street, which was a substantial increase. So the success as far as the in dollar amounts associated with the project. This all 40 days to substantial completion, which we're now substantially complete, so that's passed. So being slated for September 15th, and then the project will be done. So the company is working on final punch list work as we speak in the next few weeks, doing some restoration, and then we'll be able to close out the project, and I know that'll make Nanette very happy.
Definitely. I need a motion to approve the 2024 CCMG change order number 4.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Now the pay application for number 10.
Yes, and your packet originally said 11. Apologize for that that typo. So this is number 10. It's a payment for in the amount of $815.33. So this equates to the contract being 100% complete. Of that change is $11,190.77, with the amount of $212,624.56 being paid to the contractor at this time. Engineer recommends town council approve this pay application request.
All right, I need a motion for the approval of pay application number 10.
So moved.
Do I have a second? Any discussion?
So that 60,000 will be sufficient for the punch list?
Yes, yeah. Got half of it done already.
Got it.
Yep.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Center Point easement at Trailhead property, Chris?
This is a small easement requested by Center Point over on the Trailhead property. It's in your packet. The third page is a drawing. And easement. This is for a guy wire for one of their poles. The pole is actually in the right of way, and there'd be a guy wire set in that square, a rectangular piece there. So they made all the changes that I requested to the easement document and adjusted the exhibit to be more detailed on our request. And so, and I believe I sent it to Chris for review as well. And it's ready for your approval.
All right, I need a motion for the approval to approve Center Point easement at the Trailhead.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Is this going to make an already very dangerous, congested intersection worse as far as sight line?
I shouldn't. I don't think so. I mean, it's
an existing pole, right?
It's existing pole. They're replacing.
It's a single pole?
They're replacing a single pole.
I mean, we don't need another situation like we have across the
Right.
street.
They're replacing a single pole.
Is there anything there now? Is that where HNI puts their signs? Is that,
There's not anything there now. When we looked at it, there's just, on that corner, there's nothing in that spot. And this in itself will just be the wire and the stake or whatever it is,
Like the yellow.
Yeah.
whatever it is.
The guy, yeah, the guy anchor.
The guy anchor, that's what it's called, is what this is for.
And no, H&I does not use that area for signs.
Right. Yeah, we looked to make sure it wasn't going to be in the way of
V-shaped
anything that was
frame
planned.
that you put banners on?
In
There,
front of the Trailhead? We have, but it's way back.
okay.
Yeah, this is as far out in the corner of the intersection of 662 and Yorkshire Drive as you can stow. It's right up against the property lines, the right-of-way lines for both roads. at that intersection, so it's right out there in that northern corner.
Well, I think everybody knows that I have been not a fan because Centerpoint has not helped us out on things that we needed from them. So,
I will say they've been better in the year or so that, you know, we worked with them for the right of entry for the Ravine project and getting that property, you know, being able to utilize the parking lot property for the Great Ravine project. I think Jenna Rickard has been helpful in making contacts and getting us to the right people. And as you know, she's now on the Park Advisory Board. So I feel like we've made, I don't know, haven't heard any horror stories on the encroachment side on the utility, but I think it's been better. That's really all I can say about it.
I think it's been dramatically better the
Yeah.
last 6, 8, 10 months.
Right. And I think, you know, we met with them a couple of different times. I've talked to a number of people, and I think that it seems like locally they're making a lot more of an effort to coordinate, cooperate with local government entities. We'll just have to see how it goes.
so I should keep my no vote to myself.
No. I know that there's things from them from time to time and things they need from us, and it's generally, you know, we went through time with the Green Springs Valley project where it was a real problem. And I kind of think we're through that, but there may be other things that come up. I'm not suggesting how you vote, I'm just letting you know. I want everyone knows, listening, watching online at home, things are better.
I know Jenna's been a tremendous resource for me in my time as town manager, working with her the past 6 months plus. Very responsive, usually gets back to me, if not that day, within the next day, and been very helpful. I'm not saying how to vote, but I just want to go on record that I've noticed a change since I've had to deal with her, that it's a lot better relationship, it seems like, for us, as far as having that government liaison to work through. We get a lot more answers, and it also helps when she lives in town now, so I think that also helps as well.
Any other discussion? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Drew, sewer, or Stall Road, sanitary sewer.
Yes, final acceptance here. So this project is located on Stall Road. It's a Warwick County project. It's west of Epworth Road, north of the Lloyd Expressway. The project consists of 1,100 linear feet of 8-inch sewer pipe, and it provides service to approximately 6 apartment complexes up there. Sewer engineer have reviewed the sewer installation. Developer has passed all testing, and they met all applicable standards and requirements associated with the work. Engineer recommends town accept the sewer extension for maintenance. The total cost of the sewer work was estimated at $71,000.
I need a motion to approve the Stall Road apartment sanitary sewer extension.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. Drew, Summer Pekka.
Yes, so for this project, the utility is being proactive by evaluating the Summer Pekka interceptor. It's the major sewer trunk line that extends from the State Road 261 corridor and goes all the way down to the wastewater treatment plant. So it's a very long, large arterial sewer. The utility interior inspection and upcoming work. This work would complement that by evaluating 3 siphons, the exterior of the piping. It goes underneath Summer Pekka ditch. It was designed through 30 years of potential erosion. There could be a loss of cover, so this project would verify, confirm if there's adequate cover, and if there's not, would make recommendations how to resolve it.
Okay. I need a motion to approve the Summer Pecca Siphon Task Order.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second,
Any discussion?
I have to echo Drew here on this because it is a proactive approach. And it should save us a bunch of money by not waiting until we have a failure. And it's a critical aspect of the whole system right now, so I think it will be, it's a very positive, proactive approach, so good job.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries. Drew Powers Place Sanitary Sewer Relocation.
So division, it is also located outside of the town's incorporated limits near, along Pollock Avenue. But this is where the utility's completing improvements by relocating a 8-inch sewer main that is located under 2 residential homes. So they're reducing risk. Again, I'll say being proactive as well, again, by reducing that risk. So it bring sewers to code in specific locations of the Powers Place subdivision. So this project will complete those necessary improvements and relocate an existing sewer main underneath a home. This project will be out to bid. It's planned to bid probably late yet this year.
Motion to approve the Powers Place Sanitary Sewer Relocation.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Chris, Gateway Villas PUD.
Yes, the Gateway Villas is a sewer extension. We have a construction agreement and a sewer agreement and construction permit for Gateway Villas PUD. This is a development up near 66. There are some, just to kind of point out for the record, there's some special provisions that we added in the permit at Drew's recommendation about just some construction-related things, I think. Do you remember what I'm talking about? It's per your old letter. Alternates to the technical standards.
Oh, yes, sorry. Yeah.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So, but this one's ready, both of these are ready for your approval.
Anything else, Chris?
No.
Okay. Need a motion for the approval of the Gateway Villas PUD sewer agreement.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
Any discussion?
This is Delta, right?
What's that?
This is Delta.
Delta Properties, yeah. Work through the encroachment
Yeah,
issues
yeah,
with,
yeah.
yes. They're now at the point where they're getting ready to move, I guess.
Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The construction permit for Gateway Villas. Chris?
Same, it's the, this is the permit for construction. This is what actually includes a couple of additional standard mentions, just to make it clear it's in the permit, but it's ready for your approval.
Motion for the approval of the Gateway Villas PUD construction permit.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
second,
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The unfinished business, the trees inventory and State Street tree removal, do you want to leave those on table? Okay.
Yes.
Staff reports, town manager, Chris?
Council members, Madam President, you have my report. I want to mention to July 29th, myself and the deputy town manager and Anna attended the Southern District meeting in Evansville at the Deacon's Aquatic Center. That was for the Parks Association that we're a part of. We got to meet with several other groups from around southern Indiana. That was a good time. As you look through my report, we're working on the official rendering for the potential restroom for you all to review at the next town council meeting. I've should have it all in the packets ahead of time for review, so we'll have that before you then. I sat through an interesting public art presentation today, so we're making some headway on potential grant opportunities for some of the public art that you had discussed. And then I spoke with the boat dock vendor Monday, and it's supposed to be delivered tomorrow.
All right.
Now, that's been said before, so.
I'm not holding my...
But we have the dock here.
Yes.
But the dock is set to come tomorrow. They will immediately put it out, and we will let everybody on the council know if that happens, and we'll let the public know as well. So that, the long months of waiting, and the whole been the deflector piece. The dock itself's been in stock, but what we decided to with engineering and a few others is to update and upsize the deflector panel that keeps the debris because of where the dock's positioned with the flow from the lock and dam. It pushes all the debris towards that area. So we chose to upsize the deflector panel, and it's been the production of that panel. It's not the vendor that sells us the dock. They've had struggles in getting that piece in, and that's what's caused the delays. So I just wanted to clarify that. The MS4 audit is set for the 19th, which is next Tuesday. And I sent you a list of items as we were going through the street department the other day for potential that we would request that you all vote on surplusing. I didn't know if I needed to read the list to you for the record.
Did you all read the list?
Gag mowers are actually going to go to the sewer department, and any of the other mowing stuff, group at Tecumseh High School, there's a shop class that is interested in that. So
Okay, good.
we're going to donate what we can, the rest we'll scrap, and we'll get the money back to Nanette.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Andrea, Deputy Town
Do you
Manager.
want to make a motion to surplus those items?
I guess we need to do that, don't we? I will make the motion to surplus the items in Chris's report.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
I do have a comment before we go on.
All right.
I really appreciate the fact that you are working with so many of our residents personally.
On the stormwater,
I think that makes a huge difference for us.
you saw, I'm keeping those addresses open on the stormwater stuff because those aren't easy fixes.
Right.
But they're not major projects. We're trying to do what we can with staff, see what happens with what we're able to do in-house, and then I'm working with Drew on a lot of that stuff to see if there's potential projects that might need to happen down the road. But I
Staying
appreciate,
in touch with them, that's
Yeah.
wonderful.
I appreciate that.
One more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Did they need the boat to put the boat dock in?
No.
No?
The discussion back, I believe it was the April or March, it was right before the flood, when we ordered this. We're going to set up, the dock is similar in size and shape.
Yeah.
It's but if you recall, we purchased what essentially is a trailer for a pontoon boat. So for them to safely put the dock in and out, they can put the trailer in by hand and get it over to the trailer, and it'll all compress on the trailer, and then they'll pull it out. So what I've heard versions of the previous process. I don't want to be anywhere near that from an OSHA standpoint. So this is a safer way, and I've worked with John Heck, I've worked with Drew. I believe you were at one of the meetings, and we've got a solid plan. So when it's out of the water, it'll actually be on a trailer.
Okay. Well, this being the first time that it was put in the water, I didn't know if we might need to use the boat if we still had it.
Yeah, if they didn't request a boat, the contractor, they said, I guess they're bringing it down on a similar trailer, because they already delivered our trailer. So, but they request a boat. I just request that it shows up this time, so that's, we've traded some emails that I won't read in a public meeting, but trust me, our case has been made that this was promised originally in June, and then the drop dead date was the fireworks, and now we are almost to Labor Day. Now, granted, the river did not get to a reasonable pool stage to where you could do a lot of pleasure boating, but fishermen still use that area 24/7, 365 when it's available. So we'll do a big announcement when it comes in this week and let the public know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Zoning Administrator?
Or do you want me to talk?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
Looks like I got really loud. So what Chris said, we have our MS4 audit next week, so we've all been working on that to get everything done and lined up for that with the help of Commonwealth. We met with FEMA recently and went over our paperwork. It was me, Chris. Chris went on, or basically gave them a tour through all the projects, and then me with Russell as well went through all the wastewater. We got a memo from them that we were the first town with a project in final review. And then I got one today that we will be formally obligated on Friday for our debris reimbursement. So that's, I think I put it somewhere in the report, it says 75-25, so we'll get back about 12,000 for all that debris work from the flooding. But wastewater and the two projects are still
Under review?
yes,
Okay.
yes, but the debris and everything coming back, we'll get that. All week, they've been working on the doors at Town Hall, so we'll have all those strikers in with the key fobs hopefully shortly. And then the glass door in the lobby, we're still waiting on that delivery, because that's a whole new door itself, but the
Right.
existing doors they're working on now. And then I put in your guys' packet, the little red brick house. I did get an estimate to make those walls washable. I know right now for the popcorn, we don't need that, as long as we have those tubs for the health department. I just didn't know if there was any desire for me to move forward, to maybe get additional quotes, or do we just kind of want to leave it this year as is, and then,
Say leave it this year?
I think so, just leave it as is.
okay. It's good to know in our heads roughly if we wanted to move that way, but I just wanted to see where you guys wanted me to end that.
But I just didn't understand. Some of those things that should have rentals.
Thinking if, say we can say, hey, we have an actual room that can be used as a concession stand, is that more attractive to
Generate revenue for
Yeah.
the renter.
Okay,
But like if a band wanted to put on a show and
Right.
have a concession area to generate additional revenue, it might lead to additional rentals.
Because now if they rent the amphitheater, they get the little red brick building, but basically we just tell them that that room is used for either staging or storage, or does it add anything if it's an actual room that can be used for something?
advantage would, I can't remember it, but maybe, like, I can't think of one right now, but some to actually put on a show. And the brick building might
Yeah.
be advantageous to sell concessions.
But if we had a concession stand that went along with the rental, then we would need some kind of alcohol policy?
I mean, not necessarily if you say no alcohol. I mean, you can say it can just be used for concessions. I mean, if they wanted to rent it and they wanted to have alcohol, they'd have to go through the same state permitting that they would have to get that now. Same that each night has to do when they have the beer and wine festival and all that stuff. So you'd still have to at least.
I sit at the ticket table, and then so does Stacy. Through is they pay their admission fee here, and so a little cooler. So I I don't have an issue with that. I go through the trouble of making arrangements for wine and beer license or whatever. Oh my God, I can't imagine going through this. That'd have to be Stacy's job.
Harder than getting popcorn.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
But then the only other thing on my report was just the park amendment. We currently have a 5-year master plan with the parks. And usually that can suffice us for that full 5 years if we really ever want to go for federal funding. But since we've had such dramatic changes in the parks, I did an amendment which includes removing AMAX from our park system, all the new plans for Lou, and then just with staff in and out and the board kind of change, I just updated that. So Parks approved it, and if you guys looked it over and you're okay with it, I'm going to go ahead and send it to DNR. And they just put it on file. That's really all it is, but it's just an update in case we do want to go with them with federal funding. We now have the updated of what we've done moving forward.
That makes sense.
Would you like an emotion?
Yeah, I guess you guys could do that, yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion that we accept the park amendment plan that Andrea provided.
I'll second that.
All right.
And I'd like to say,
Okay.
Andrea, that was extremely well done and very
Thank you.
appreciated, so thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea is kind of our in-house person that does things. I remember when I first got on council, we had to hire that out. Thank you, Andrea. You saved the town a ton of money, since we have to have a plan.
We do need to have a plan on file, yes, yes.
The best thing about Andrea is she read Robert's Rules of Order from front to back. You go, girl.
Did.
All right, any other discussion?
Yes,
Okay.
as far as the workshops, the webinars, the conferences and so on, are all of these free to register or attend?
So before I answer that, can you guys approve the amendment
Yeah,
officially? And then I'll pop
Can we
up.
approve the amendment first, or do you want that answered before we approve the amendment?
Well, I wasn't quite done yet, but.
Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay.
Hotel mileage, meals,
So,
I just wonder on all of these, because some of these are pretty far away.
the one that Anna attended today was free. It's a webinar. The one for the stormwater that Chris and I are going to go to, it is not, but there was was that the one that had the grant? There was one that had the grant.
The one for Parks has a grant.
Parks has a grant.
For. Only you're going to that one.
Yeah, so that one doesn't, that one is huge for us for all of our MS4 and everything that we need for compliance. Floodplain coordinator, all that. The HPC one, we actually got a scholarship, so our fee was completely waived. And you know, usually they have discounted hotel rates, and then we got half off that discount. So I think for me to go for that whole almost week for HPC is only like $88.
Wow, that's great.
So that's huge, and that we got that scholarship. And then the IPRA has a scholarship, and I have not applied for that yet, but Chris sent it to me, and I'm going to apply for that one as well.
After the discussion at the last meeting, I doubled down and we've really made a commitment, her and I, to try to find these opportunities to make these things the closest free as possible.
Well, all of these conferences may find themselves very short-personed because nobody's going to be able to afford to send their representatives eventually. I mean, these are the kind of things that I see we probably will need to take out of the budget if things don't get better.
Just for the public's understanding, this challenge with the state towns allowance back, and so we are concerned. I mean, we're trying to work through that as best we can, but that's what she was referring to.
Well, that's why I asked the question, because I just, you know, and last year we talked about, when it came to things like this, that how many people send and how many times people can go, that maybe, you know, we need to allow somebody to go once or twice, but then they don't go 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 times. And I think we also need to be cognizant of how long people will be gone, because that means people here who remain here are going to have to pick up on those duties. So just making sure there are some people still in the building and still here to help our citizens. So, okay, I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A week for $88, I think I'd like to have that somewhere. All right, any other discussion?
We still need to vote.
I know.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
And that's everything I have unless you guys have any questions for me.
Any questions for Andrea?
Oh, and I did want to say thank you to Troy Wells for all of the work in those cottages. They look beautiful. If you guys want to go see them, you can go look. Or I put pictures in my report. He did an amazing, he's just good at that stuff. That's his thing. I love
Well,
it.
and I tell you what, he volunteered all that time.
He did, he volunteered all that time. I'm so happy. We have our regular renters, and I think one of them just came in and they emailed me and they were like, whoa. From, you know, I mean, they're pretty, I think they're pretty anyways, but just adding that little bit of detail that he has, that eye that he has, and the new furniture, I think make everything look really, really good. So.
That's what I've heard. Well, that's great.
So the cottages are for rent.
Well, they do.
Busy, yes, and we have a great group of people that come back and use it for holidays and family things, and we have our regulars that we love. But yes.
Well, the potential's always been there because they're interesting buildings and interesting rooms, so that's good to hear.
The only thing
You're
that-
gonna send some pictures, you said?
I thought I put them in my report if I didn't. I didn't put them in my report. I was going to send you guys pictures and I forgot. I will do that.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we don't have up yet is Troy and I are going through, we're trying to find some older photos of Newburgh to put in. I have some old maps. Whenever we got the lock and dam from the Corps back in the day, I have a box of old maps of the river. We're looking at those to try to frame those, to put those in there, just that tie of history.
I wouldn't put the originals.
Well, no, we're gonna make copies of them and put, yeah, but just the kind of that tie to the lock. And then Julie just took a really long phone call from a lady who was asking a million questions about the history of them. So somewhere in there, whether it's a QR code or a book or something, I want to put the history of the buildings in there as well, so people know that when they're staying. So
Good.
still little things like that, but for the most part, they're done. I'm good to
Makes
go.
them very personable.
Yes.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? Clerk Treasurer? Does she have a report?
No, she does not. I'm sure when she gets back from conference.
We'll have a lot of questions, yes.
Can I come, Clerk Treasurer?
Sure.
I just can't emphasize enough to all of you as my associates, peers, whatever, how scared I am about this upcoming budget. Stacy and I had a special meeting with Nanette for her to basically go line by line with everything on the budget. And I'm not one to cry wolf, but folks, I'm scared. I don't know how we're going to do it next year. She has cut everything she can right now. She's cut everything she can. And we're still $50,000 short. And we're talking about some new things. So I just don't know how it's going to happen. You know, at home with our own home budgets, when things go wrong or a job or my utility bill, which I had a couple years ago, I mean, so what do? You have to start cutting here and there. So,
I mean, on that note, Chris and I, and Chris Wisher, we had a meeting, I don't know if you want to talk about it.
Not yet.
But we had a very good conversation, not in detail, but we had a conversation today with Tim O'Brien and
Senator Becker.
Senator Becker.
Representative O'Brien and our counterparts at AIM and Clint Lamb, the regional rep for AIM. We had a great discussion about the impacts on municipalities from this past session.
and what that looks like for our communities, small communities, even the big communities, like what does this mean? And, you know, the big thing is things can change, right? I mean, there's still, this isn't really taking a big hit until, what, 27, 28. But yes, starting to look at these things and what does that mean? And, our big takeaway from that was, they wanted to see some of our financials. They wanted to see some of these things that we really have concerns about. I don't know if you guys all read the Baker Tilly report that was sent out by Nanette. So, I mean, there are some concerns, but we also, Nanette's done an amazing job. We do have some good reserves, in that, and she is working within a budget, in trying to stay in that budget, but, there are those ways that we can make kind of some of those things up. But, I think this whole started with AIM going around and meeting. It's not just us. It's
throughout the state with small communities, big communities. They're having these sit-downs with town managers, mayors, all types of folks, and their elected officials that represent those areas, so.
And they want to hear, and they want to know our concerns, what we think could be done. We talked about the lit, we talked about, all of these things were talked about, right? And, what that actually means or what it does, we don't know. We did ask them if they had any idea what was coming. They didn't let on anything.
But the good news to take away from this is where Nanette has us positioned with this budget discussion, or Chris, Andrea, the team that we have here, we're positioned farther ahead than most municipalities in our area as far as it relates to what the ramifications are. Some just now are starting to realize what we realized 6 months ago. So we've got a little bit of a jump on them to where Nanette's been up to speed on this from day one.
Right.
She would have been there today if they weren't at clerk conference or clerk treasurer off, or I guess there's 300 clerk treasurers in French Lick this year, so this week, so.
And we were just talking,
Imagine the stress.
imagine the stress going on in that conference, right?
Seeing us periodically throughout the week, and
Yeah.
she kind of hammered home that some of them are just starting to realize that there's going to be some tough decisions, not just in Newburgh, Indiana, but around the state.
Yeah.
At all levels of municipal government. Look in Evansville, they've got to pass a wheel tax if they participate in some stuff from the state for road funding. With us being under 5,000, individuals, that doesn't apply to us, but, it's going to be tough around, and it's not just for cities, it's schools, it's libraries, it's everybody that relies on property taxes. And I'm just struggling with the math. The average savings, I think, on a personal note is $300. I think we're getting affected more. So add up to me, if the average refund from all this is $300 per property owner, it just doesn't seem like it, what the municipalities and the schools and stuff are losing. So Tim kind of hit home as we walked away from the meeting today, that there's plenty of time still before the 27, 28. They'll meet 2 times before that takes effect. And there's still opportunities to see what it looks like then. But they need to know some of these tough things that we talked about, what the decisions that, from Nanette's email, that we have to look at potentially, what that looks like in 26, let alone 27. So we were very represented well today. Chris, did you have anything to add?
Oh, I was just gonna go ahead, just to go back a little bit. I remember that it reminded me a little bit of 2014, 2015, whenever that was. It was right after Tom retired. I remember I was, suddenly somewhere in there, the tax caps started to impact revenues. Revenues no longer grew like they did before. They flattened out. The difference, and that was a challenge, and you can remember us going through the budget and really having to decide some tough things. The difference, I think, is that at that point, by the time, what I recall is the town did not have a significant amount of reserves. There was not as much of a cushion. And so that was a real challenge. Now, I remember meeting with Baker Tilly. I remember going through, kind of learning, because I was pretty new in the role I'm in now, but and Nanette then comes in, right, and at the same time, and so, or right after me, and so she's done a good job. I think the council has done a good job of budget revenues, but putting money aside in reserves and building even more than what the recommended amount of reserves are. So Now, reserves are just reserves. You can only spend them once, so they're not a long-term fix, but they do give you a cushion. So, yeah, some challenges. I think we learned this week, that the tax cap hit is gonna be more than what we've had in the past, and so what we thought might just be slowed growth could actually be a net negative. The problem is that, when they made changes in the legislature, there's so many different levers and buttons that they pushed, and it's so complex of a system that nobody truly understands what's going to come out on the other side, so it's uncertainty, no one knows. And so I have to treat it as if, you have to be very cautious, because if you aren't, and if you're cautious and you're wrong, it's better than what you thought, then that's great, right? But if the flip is true, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So I think we're approaching it the right way, and maybe as we go, we'll get more concrete information. But it does present challenges. I thought the discussion today was good, and it does sound like, from this discussion and others I've had, that folks at the legislature understand that plays out, that there are going to have to be some tweaks. And so we just need to stay on it, and hopefully we can get some things changed. But even next year, it's not the end of the world, but it's pretty tight. Next year, there's not a lot of extra there. I didn't, since it was brought up, and now that we're talking about finances, just to Mr. Millsap's point, I would just, for anybody listening or whatever, the debt, the $83 million in debt. So I looked in Gateway, and that's actually the payments on the debt for the next 20 years, total for that 20 years, but it's also 73 million of those are utility debt payments to the rest of the town, and so there are dedicated revenue sources for those. So I'm the fact that the town's in a significant debt, but we have a utility that serves 40,000 people, and that's a little bit, there's two different, they're treated as completely separate entities, the civil town and the utility. So I think it's just important to note that it's not as if the town of Newburgh is in a pretty good position on the debt, because we do have dedicated income streams for all of those.
I'd just like to add, when I first came on council, my very first finance meeting was, we have no reserves, and we have to cut $300,000 from the budget.
Right.
That was my first finance meeting,
yes.
and I said, what have I gotten myself into?
I remember.
Yeah.
There was a change. What happened, they passed the tax caps, and like I said, I came and started learning about budgets in 14 and 15 before the kind of way you did it, because the levy always went up, is you just bumped your budget by 10%, you submitted it, that made sure you got the most you could get, and then you just moved on. That worked until the tax caps happened, and then revenues flattened. They no longer were going up. Now your budget gets approved, because it'll get approved if your revenue supported and your cash reserves, right?
Right.
And so your budget gets approved, and so the town was spending the money. And the next thing you knew, in 2014, the budget didn't get approved because we didn't have the money to support it.
Right.
And I was but we would then realize that what all reserves we had been depleted.
Right.
Because you were spending more. That doesn't happen now.
It does not
Budgets are
happen
done
anymore.
with real revenues, we get revenue estimates, and we're only budgeting what's going to come in. And we're very conscious about building reserves, and just for this case. So
Right.
we'll see, but it's going to be a challenge. I'm not discounting it at all. I think it's for folks to know just how well Nanette has stayed on top of things over the last several years, but also the council, Chris in his role, Andrea, everybody is attuned to no one is just
Right. And this,
left and right. We can argue about particular projects, and people have different opinions, but there's a real consciousness about spending.
what other thing I'd like to make public is our bond rating. And that is, just to make sure I know for sure, AA.
Triple A minus, still A minus.
Yeah.
It's about
I think
as,
it's AA minus. It's better than probably anybody around
it's
here.
about as good as you can be for a public entity.
Right.
And we just had it redone when we did the bond last year.
And that rating does not come lightly. It is very hard to attain. It's very hard to keep going, and we've got it, and we're probably one of the few government entities around here that has that kind of rating. So that's something to be proud of. So, and Riley, I do believe I forgot zoning.
She's okay with that.
Introduce Riley Jones. She's in the audience tonight. She is our new zoning and planning office person and has already been doing building permits and all kinds of things. She's been here a little less than 2 weeks. She is a very recent graduate of Ball State with a minor in urban planning, and from all reports is catching on very quickly and moving right ahead.
This is a good report, thank you.
So we welcome her. We have a meeting scheduled for the 25th of August, if there is anything turned in for the agenda. Currently, there isn't anything, so that meeting may be canceled, but
Will be the planning commission meeting?
no, that's Board of Zoning Appeals.
Oh, I'm wanting to attend a planning commission meeting and the last
Okay.
one was canceled.
Good luck with that, but this is BZA.
Sorry.
Okay. So Riley, you have anything you want to say, or?
You don't have to if you don't want to have anything to say.
Yeah, I'm glad you're here. I didn't know if you had been invited, but I'm glad you're here. And we're here every 2 weeks, and you're welcome to come back and make your own report. I think that would be amazing if you would do that for us.
And anything, you guys have gotten Kelly's reports in the past, and before that was Tavy's. She kind of looked through all the old reports, looked at mine, looked at Chris's, and so I kind of just told her, as much information, mine are probably too long and too much, but if there's anything that you guys want to see from her, just let her know. We'll make sure the reports reflect all of that, but yeah, she's been doing great and catching on, and we just kind of threw her in there, and she's holding on, so she's excited, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
I peeked in a couple of times and just checked to make sure that everything was okay.
Yeah.
And it was good.
I'm sure she's-
So, thank you.
I'm sure she's focused on the day-to-day, making sure that the residents are served in their permitting and everything else, and then get all that figured out, and then move to some of the bigger picture things that we've talked about, so.
Good.
And we've met with
Good
Chris, and I think we're gonna set up a meeting with Drew, and then at some point, maybe kind of get into until she, really get, because there's a lot of questions that come up that me nor Chris might know the answer to, right? So, but just kind of getting her out there, and we're all kind of learning together.
Thank you. Well, welcome. We're tickled to death you're here. Drew, town engineer.
Do you have anything else?
No, I don't have anything.
Okay. No, I don't have any other reports unless you have questions for me.
Does anybody have a question for Drew? Okay, we'll go on to commission committee reports. Air Authority, no report. BZA and?
We just gave it.
Okay. And Fire?
Nick is here, hiding behind the podium there.
All right, so this year, year-to-call volume is 515 calls. Since July 9th, which we all remember that council meeting last month, we've had 54 calls. So a significant decrease, obviously. Running numbers and everything like that, July and August of last year, July alone we did 97, August we did 72 for a total of 169. So I don't have the numbers for the first 9 days of July, but then we're halfway through the month. Right now we're at 32%. So in my conversations with Ned, we've talked about fuel expenses and things like that, which are going to drastically decrease. We have received a little bit of an uptick in town call volume. We've had 15. And that's in those numbers that I gave you from July 9th till now. And then 34 mutual aid or dispatch discrepancies. And I say dispatch discrepancies because there was obviously a transitional period between, whenever we were switching our response areas. That has kind of worked itself out. We've gone on a good amount of mutual aids. The Saturday after July 9th, we were at that Work Education Center fire. We had 2 trucks there. with about 8 personnel, and then we had 4 personnel on station making a lot of runs everywhere else because frankly, there was nobody else available. We had a lot of fire personnel at that particular fire. So great working relationship still. We're still doing everything like we should. As far as large occupancies out there in here, wherever they come out. 28 personnel, 7 cadets and 4 associate members still, and we just, we have 2 pending applications.
Good.
That's all I've got.
Any questions for Dick? Thank you.
Good job.
HPC, I did have a meeting scheduled for tomorrow night, but it has been canceled due to lack of business, so we'll go on to next month. Parks, Park.
You can say
There's a key feature.
So, Parks Board, we met earlier this month, and the headline topic was, or the highlight, I guess, was the amended Parks Master Plan. Another issue that I think this board should know about is that when we get to the ninja course in Lou Dennis, where the volleyball court sits at this minute, the ninja course will encroach on that. So there was a pretty lively discussion about moving the volleyball court and where to move it to. There was no recommendation at this time, and for anybody who has a strong interest in that, I encourage you to drive over there and take a look. So any questions about that, please don't hesitate to ask. And then one sort of minor item that came up for those of us who use the trail a lot, there's been some trail graffiti, and I know Chris has been working with his crew to sort of deal with that. Yeah. So that's the Parks report.
Okay. Any questions for Paul?
I have 2, of course.
Of course, but that's okay.
First off, you have one of the police actually riding a bike on the trail all the time, and I don't think that goes on at all. Or is there a reason?
Yeah, I don't know if there's a reason, but
Okay.
I can get an answer from Chief Mitchell, because that sort of overlaps my other responsibility to the.
Okay.
to the-
I may be able to speak to that, because
Okay.
we gave the bike from one of the 5K runs, was what we donated the bike to the police. And at that time, Chief Sprinkle was the only one. You need a permit, you need a license to be a police officer and ride that bike. And he was the only one who had the proper credentials to ride it. And so when he left, there, as far as I know, there's no police officers who have the designation that they can, to ride that bike. But it would be a good thing. I've had people ask me about it, because it was not only good from a safety standpoint, it was great from a standpoint of interaction with people who were in town. And so it was very good, but I think that's the answer to the question. But
Okay.
maybe at next police commission, we can bring it up.
Yeah, we'll do
And
that.
I know, I think at some point, I mean, since I've been here, within 9 years, that bike was surplus. I think it just kind
We're
of.
still, no, just kidding.
I know at some point it was surplus, and I know, and I think it's, because I also remember, because some of Parks' budget was paying police salary as well for that, and that kind of all got moved out once Sprinkle left. So I do remember, I know that happened, but I don't know, I couldn't tell you the year that it happened, but I know there was a
Well, even if we
change.
still had it, we probably would have to replace it after all
Right,
this time.
yeah. So, yeah.
My question, Stacy, is, what do you call it?
Course.
Play court, okay, ninja court. We're kind of infringing on the volleyball court. Do you have a lot of people utilizing the volleyball court?
That's a good question, and based upon the robust discussion that we had, I would say that's a yes.
Oh, okay, very good.
And I talked to my splash pad staff, so I, at the beginning of the season, I have like I bought extra basketballs, we have volleyballs and soccer balls, and so kids can, ask us for them, we let them use them. And Splash Pad says that the volleyballs are the most requested to be
Okay,
used,
great,
yeah.
great,
so,
okay.
yeah. I asked them to keep track for me to, if it was worth having them out there and stuff like that.
Sure.
The basketballs and the volleyball.
Okay.
Were the most used.
Good. That's all, Stacy.
Thanks. Plan was canceled for this month, so it will be the first Monday in August.
And with what Ann just said, does that mean, like, if I'm really interested in wanting to know some things, should I rattle their cage a little bit and say, I want to come to the meeting, I've got
Sure.
some issues?
Sure.
Because otherwise, if there's nothing going on, they may just cancel it again.
Yes.
Well, we should have the next meeting, because we have to talk about, we have an ordinance to talk about some other things. There may not be any petitions or other business, but
Okay.
The next,
we should have one.
the next plan meeting is Labor Day, so I'll get with plan
Gotcha.
and see when they want to move that, and I'll let you guys
Okay.
know.
Something, would you tell them that there's something I want to ask about? Okay, thank you.
Usually the meeting deadlines list that's approved each year,
Okay, I'll look at
they
it.
may go ahead and.
So they might
look
done
at
that in like
holidays.
January. Okay.
If it was done. I
Okay.
can't remember.
All right, police, Paul?
Yes, so the Police Commission met 2 days ago on Monday. It was a fairly lengthy meeting because there hadn't been one, I think, for a couple of months. The headline topic, there were several, but I'll go with the big one first. Chief Mitchell explained that 2 of his police vehicles have been in service now 8 years, and his typical cycle for replacement is 7 years, so we're overdue. Fully outfitted, the 2 vehicles, he's asking for a not to exceed $120,000 for the 2 vehicles. I'm not sure, because I haven't talked to Nanette about whether that's already factored in what we're doing, or whether that has to be...
I think 1 was,
Yeah, okay,
but I'm not sure about 2.
sure.
So we'll probably have to go back to finance or.
Yeah, and it's a special, there's a special deal right now through the state that those, without all the equipment, I think he said 45,000 each through the manufacturer on the state contract. So it's actually less than we've spent in the past for a new cruiser.
And they're lease purchased also, so it's not exact, it's not a $120,000 line item in the budget, it's less than that because it's just the payments, but I can't remember the term that we buy those on.
I thought that was over 2 years.
2 years, so it gets split maybe.
I think it's 4 payments.
And so that item has to go through a committee before it comes back here, is that what you're suggesting?
Usually, well, it's some, if it gets in we need to make sure it gets in the budget, if it can get in the budget. So we really just need to talk with Nana about it and see
Okay,
whether it's in the budget, the
So
current draft. or whether it's
that's
gonna-
informational for all of
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
The second issue, which was a smaller issue, but it has to do, and it dovetails a little bit on what Dr. Millsap's brought to us tonight, and that is, there's been discussion about adding speed signs that monitor vehicular traffic and their speed and lets you know how fast you're going or how slow you're going. There are funds, and I'm learning, so just correct me if I'm wrong, but there are funds that were available from the opioid settlement funds that could in fact pay for these signs. It sounds like he would like to have 4 signs, and they're $2,500 per sign. Luann and I just had a little conversation about what is available. I don't know that that whole amount is available. And Chris, do you know more than I know about that?
Yeah, she's supposed to be checking on it. I brought it up after the police commission
Okay.
with her, but there's unrestricted and restricted versions of the opioid settlement money, and he was going to utilize the unrestricted, and those have to be spent, I believe, by a certain date.
There's about 6,000.
Yeah.
So there's enough for 2 signs with the unrestricted.
Yeah, so we got to have some discussions probably at the finance committee and stuff
Okay.
with that, but We also, you might want to put on there, these will not be going in the historic areas.
Oh, right, yeah. So that discussed at length about where they would go, and I know that the council would not like to litter up the historic area with more signage than we have today. So the various areas that were proposed were clearly around the schools, which would make a lot of sense, and then sort of in and out of the town through the major arteries, letting people know, hey, this is our town, and you need to slow it down. So that, and I don't.
One was by the amphitheater on the trail.
Yeah, right.
One was on, if you're heading eastbound on 662 before Frame, kind of on that hill. There's a blinking light now that's kind of, needs to be trimmed up a little bit, kind of in that area. It's one of those ones that say, like, it lights up what your speed is, and it's set at the speed limit, but like if you're over, it starts blinking, and then it's solar powered. So, but I know that was one of the areas of concern, because one of the Frame 662 intersection with that hill, we get a lot of calls, and that's one of the SS4A study areas as well, so.
Informational only, correct, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah. Then two other less, sort of more minor things. A lot of us were aware that Newburgh Elementary, the first day of school, the first few days of school, had some traffic problems along Posey Street. Chief Mitchell talked to the principal, and I made an effort to get over there this afternoon, and it looks like they've allowed for a different, it's on the back side of the school, or the south side of the school. They've allowed for the lineup to come onto the property rather than line up on the street.
Gotcha.
That seems to have solved the problem, at least as it looked today.
Chief Mitchell was going to fly a drone sometime this week. I haven't heard from him yet, to try to get some overhead angles, and the problem is first responders cannot get down Posey Street during that time, and there's been a lot of concern, I know, since last fall. I've heard, since I've been here, from a couple of the residents about what happens if I need a fire truck or an emergency vehicle, let alone a couple of folks get off a second shift that live on Posey Street, and they're trying to get home.
Right.
And there's some challenges, but the school's been very receptive to work with them, and Chief Mitchell's kind of running with the ball, and he might come forth with some recommendations, depending on what happens to the council down the road.
Okay, good.
And one last thing, not because this could turn into a lively discussion, but it's just something that is on our radar. There's been a lot of concern about e-bikes and motorized vehicular traffic on the trails. We talked about it at the Police Commission. Chris sent out some work that has already been done in the past, looking at what other communities have, what options we might have as a town to regulate that. We don't have any recommendations. We're just going to talk about it, look into it, and maybe bring something here to the council with, if it makes sense, so,
They can be dangerous.
yeah.
I just had a young gentleman come in yesterday, and so he doesn't have an e-bike, he has a one-wheel. They're all different, I don't know. He has a one-wheel, and I guess the police asked him to get off the trail, and then he just came in asking if we had ordinances. He asked if, where the rules came from. And he was very, very nice, and his concern is they wanted him on the street, but his one wheel can only go 18 miles an hour, so now if you're on the street, now you're under the month. So he was asking where he can ride, where he's allowed to ride, and he had a lot of good points, a lot of good information. He asked if we ever thought about making a group to discuss this with people that use them versus, what the town wants with the police, and so I took his name and number, and I told him, anything that we do down the road, I would let him know. So it was a good discussion, and just hearing his, he wants to use them, his friends want to use them, but where can they use them and where it's safe to use them? And I gave him our point of view from, the complaints we get from people on the trail. And so he was very open and receptive. Luann talked to him too. He was very, very nice in it. But so just if there will be.
Yeah, without belaboring the conversation tonight, I think there's a lot of creative ideas that apply to this, and I'm looking forward to being part of that, and I like that idea about a public forum. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
I guess I'm showing my age, but what is a one-wheel?
I had to
It's,
Google it.
think unicycle that's motorized, but you stand
It's
on
like
it,
a
you don't sit
smaller
on it.
wheel, probably about, and it's wide, it's a wide wheel.
I mean,
Okay,
Drove one to work where I came from, he rode his one wheel from his house.
And
okay.
it's not a scooter. Don't
No,
have a scooter,
you don't
it's
call
not
it a
bike.
scooter.
Yeah.
So
There's several different kinds.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
if we may change, there may be a change that comes from discussion that might help in the meantime to, maybe we could talk about clarifying what the current rules are, or getting something out. I don't know if that, and maybe then having a discussion about it, because I think, there's a lot of misconception about the current rules. So I'll just, I don't want to belabor it, but
Yeah.
we've had a lot of discussions at police commission, that some of you may not have been privy to some of those, and we've researched it. On our trail, the rule is no motorized vehicle.